How does one prepare for a bike ride across Yellowstone? Well, first you pump up your tires, then you wait until the temperature is above freezing, choose the appropriate clothing, and head out on the road. Mid-April, Yellowstone opens for foot traffic and bicycles only. The only vehicles permitted are park personnel. In 2001, I received a gift from the universe. Every other Friday, I would drive home from Cody, Wyoming to my home in Missoula through Yellowstone National Park. Yes, it would take an extra 2 to 3 hours, but what an incredible experience. If lucky, I'd see bear, deer, eagles, and of course, bison. Fortunately for us this day, the roads were clear and the sky was sunny. Our goal was Old Faithful or Norris Geyser Basin. We'd see only a small fraction of the park. About 2 miles from the west entrance of Yellowstone, we crossed into Wyoming. I tried to catch a picture of the ducks and lone eagle that were fishing this stretch of the river. We stopped about every 5 miles to get off the bikes, hydrate, and change our clothing. We'd take in the views, and yes, sometimes we'd even have a snack. After the break, we had our first downhill section. Most of our ride paralleled the Madison River, but soon we were greeted by the mountains. Mount Hayes rising up from the valley floor. The Madison River makes up 1/3 of the headwaters of the Missouri River, the other two being the Gallatin and the Jefferson. As we crossed over the bridge, I spotted our first herd of bison in the distant far right. I think the herd may have been over a mile away from where we were riding, and only with the telephoto lens could I pick them out. Here's what the camera could see. These were some of our fellow cyclists, the first we'd seen on the entire ride, and on the right is the Madison River. The huge boulders are called erratics, and they were left by the last glacier. All along this ride, all I could think of was how fortunate we are to have the park basically to ourselves. We had a slight climb as we rode toward Madison Junction. The road to the right heads toward Old Faithful, but the road was closed, so we went left toward Norris Geyser Basin. Next section was a steady uphill climb to Gibbons Falls. On the left, we passed our first gurgling hot springs. If you look closely, you can see the steam rising from the hot springs as we rode along. The climb was over 1,000 feet, and we decided since this was our first ride of the year, we'd make Gibbons Falls our turnaround point. We took a break, ate some lunch, and had a huge raven in back of us beg for food. In all our trips over the years, this was our first time we'd ever visited the falls. After getting back on the bikes, we had this huge downhill grade all the way down to Madison Junction.
I'm going on.
My speed was over 35 miles an hour. It seemed much faster. Finally, the road flattened out and we were down at river level and the bison were much closer. It's amazing to be in the close proximity of these huge animals. Families with small children dismounted, trying to get even a closer look to the buffalo. I kept trying to find a closer view of the river and finally found Riverside Drive, which started out looking pretty good until we got about a half mile in. and then you'll see what happens.
This is not good.
We should have executed the 180 and gone back to the main road, but no, we trudged on for over 1.5 miles before finally getting back to the road heading toward West Yellowstone. By the way, that was the royal way. I didn't hear this rider that was coming up from the back on the electric bike, but he didn't fare so well either, even with his very fat tires. Finally, we reached the main road, and you're going to hear a couple of e-bikes go past us, and you can see how fast these guys are going. Well over 50% of the bikes we saw in the park that day were e-bikes. Even the cars that were passing us as we headed home were going more than 60 miles an hour as we approached the west entrance. The departing vehicles are either workers or full-time people that live back in the park just to keep things running during the winter. The condo where we were staying was about 1 mile from the west entrance, nicely situated for this day's 40-mile ride. After enjoying the day, we were both glad to be back, and quite a ride for our first ride of the year. We rode past the Grizzly and Wolf Center where they have wild live animals that you can view in their somewhat natural habitat. I think this is the third time we've stayed at this Worldmark condo timeshare over the years. You may have heard of ski in, ski out condos. Well, this was a ride in, ride out condo. And there's Bellar White Suburban. Home again, jiggity jig. This timeshare was starting to see some wear, so we didn't mind bringing our bikes in to keep them from being stolen.
Want to just put them on the deck?
I don't care.
Doesn't matter to me either.
Yeah.
That's a good ride.
The next day we headed home, stopping to see this metal art display, and then catch some mountain views as we left the valley and headed into the mountains toward Missoula. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next adventure.